Good evening. We have a quorum, and so I am starting the commencement of the Housing Commission meeting for this evening. Thank you for all coming and being here for the process that we have for selecting grantees. And I think we also have something else important is to just real quick introduction of some of our new folks here. I'm not new, but I'm Connie Cunningham, for those of you who don't know me. And to my left is out loud. Linda Jindy. Okay, and Michelle Raya. And very nice to meet you. And Ryan Goals, Vice Chair, is on Zoom. So welcome to all of you here. At some point, we will be talking with all of you. So we called the meeting to order at 5:30, and if you would take the roll call, please.
Certainly. So when I call your name, please say present. Chair Cunningham,
Present.
Vice Chair Goals,
Present.
Commissioner He,
Present.
Commissioner Narayan,
Present.
Commissioner Cindy.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Okay. Next, we will move on to approval of the minutes. Have you all had a chance to read the minutes? Okay, you've all
Yes.
had a chance to read the minutes. And are there any questions or corrections?
I just want to state on behalf of staff, we did notice there were some spelling error on the minutes, particularly when it came to people's names. So Commissioner Goals and Andy Leaf, your names will be corrected in the posted official version. I didn't know. Okay.
Okay, so given if there are there any, and there were no other issues or questions for the minutes, then all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so that is closed. We'll move along.
Wait, sorry, I think for this one, we should a motion to accept.
Motion?
Yeah,
Oh,
motion to accept the minutes. Someone to second it.
Okay.
Second.
Okay.
Is that a-
Okay, yeah.
Got it.
Okay.
Goals. Okay, and then we can do, I'm gonna call roll call and you guys can say aye, nay, or abstain, okay? This is a motion to,
Oh, okay,
this is that right? Okay,
go ahead.
Chair Cunningham,
Aye. Aye.
Vice Chair Goals,
Aye.
Commissioner He,
Aye.
Commissioner Narayan,
Aye.
and Commissioner Cindy. The motion passes 5-0.
Okay, thank you. Then we will move on, and are there any postponements?
None, no postponements from the last meetings.
Okay, do we have any oral communications for business that is not on the agenda?
None was received.
Okay.
Myself, but we can also open that to public if they have anything to comment that is not agendized.
So we'll just all be quiet for a second so that we can hear if anybody says, yes, I would like to speak. Okay, hearing none, then we will move along from oral communications. And were there written communications?
Yes, we actually received a number of written communications from the public. It was on an agendized item, which was actually going to be for the NOFA. So we've brought copies of that today, provided at the table, as well as sent out copies of that beforehand. You could have it electronically as well.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Is there any old business?
No.
No old business. Okay, so we can move along then to new business. The first is agenda item 2, which is the election of chair and vice chair for the coming year. So the recommended action is to elect a chair and a vice chair of the Housing Commission. And how we will proceed with that is that first we will take nominations for chair. And after the discussion and election of the chair, then we will move along and have for the vice chair. So I am putting out a request for nominations for chair.
I'd like to nominate Chair Cunningham for a second year, please.
Do we have a
Thank you.
second for that motion?
Second. Oh,
We
thank
have a
you.
second. Okay. Do we have any more nominations?
I wanted to nominate Ryan Goals for the chair.
We have a
And
nomination. Do we have a second?
I respectfully decline, thank you.
Okay,
Well, Can I nominate myself then?
You may.
Okay, I'll nominate myself.
We have
Okay.
a nomination for
Okay.
Commissioner Heat. Do we have a second?
I second the motion.
Yeah, does anyone second the motion? You'll second the motion?
I did, I just,
Okay,
Okay.
all right. Do we
okay,
have any other nominations?
okay, so hearing none, I will ask for a short statement by the nominees in order so that people can know the reasons for wanting to become chair. So I don't know, should I go first?
Yeah, well,
Okay, I'll just go first and uh, the reason that I would like to go first is I do have the experience, it doesn't sound like it so far tonight, but I do have experience with being chair before and I'm familiar with how to run the meetings. The biggest issue is that I have such a deep feeling for the projects, which are below market rate projects, and I'm very interested in successful conclusion of our agendas. So I guess that's primarily it. I'm running. Okay, thank you. And, okay, next, Yuji, if you would like to, Commissioner He, if you would like to speak.
Yeah, so I joined the commission last year, so I've been on commission for exactly.
Excuse me, could everybody speak up a little bit?
Okay.
Just follows the sound.
Okay,
If you could
is this,
speak a little louder, that would be great.
okay, that's good, but is this a microphone?
kind of, it's picking it up and taking it to the live stream. So,
Okay,
Yeah.
but not here necessarily.
I can just
Understood.
talk.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, for everyone who don't know me, my name's Yui and I joined the commission about a year ago. So in this year, I learned a lot and I also learned so much from Chair Cunningham. She was the one who really helped me with all the process and all these things in the housing commission, and I really appreciate it. And I went to one of the mayor's meeting in place of Chair Cunningham and Vice Chair Goals, and I'm just learning a lot, and I would like to be given a chance to be chair this year.
Great. So now that we've had statements from commissioners, I've been told from the clerk's office that as an agendized item, I have to also open it up to the public to have a chance to comment as well.
Okay.
Do we have any comments from the public about any nominations for the chair? Good. Seeing none, we can go ahead and to vote. If we have no other comments from the commissioners?
Okay.
None? Okay.
None.
So we'll hold it to a vote then. I guess we'll first say like, do we vote to have one person as chair and then we'll go aye or nay, and then we'll go to the second person? Is that how it's worked in the past? I've never done elections with this group yet.
I think last year we voted on the chair position first, and
Yeah.
then we, from
Right,
that
and then we
point, then went to vice chair.
Okay, but I mean, like, do we call one person's name and then we go aye or nay? Or do we just say the name?
Well,
I think that-
last year, they took one nomination, made it, and then had it seconded, then voted that on that item, and then they went to the next agenda. I don't think we've ever had it where we opened it for multiple candidates. I think, isn't that true, Chair Cunningham, that we voted on it and it was then seconded and then voted, and then we went on to that next one. That's how I understood it, but I'm not sure.
Exactly right. I think more, and that's true. That's exactly how we handle first chair and then vice chair. What we're talking about here is voting on whether Commissioner He or myself will be chair. And so I think you open the vote for one of them.
Yeah.
And then
Say aye
after,
or nay?
and say aye or nay, and then when that's closed, then you vote
Got
for
it.
the next person.
Okay.
But it is both for the chair position.
Got it.
Okay.
Thanks for
Okay.
that clarification.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll start with the nomination for Chair Cunningham to go for a second term then. I'm gonna call your name and then you can say aye, nay, or abstain for the vote. Chair Cunningham,
Aye.
Vice Chair Bowles,
Aye.
Commissioner He.
I have a question about, so like, how would abstain and say nay be like different?
Abstain just means I decline to vote. Like, it's basically neither, it works the same, I guess, in this context as a nay, right? Because it's not voting yes, but people sometimes do it when they have like a conflict of interest. or something that's agendized, they'll be like, I abstain from voting on this one.
Okay,
Yeah,
got it.
yeah.
I'll abstain from this.
Okay, and then Commissioner Ryan,
Aye.
Commissioner Cindy. Okay, so we have 4 ayes, no nays, and then 1 abstain. And then we will go for a voting for Commissioner He. So Commissioner Cunningham,
No,
nay. Vice Chair Goals,
Nay.
Commissioner He,
Aye.
and then Commissioner Ryan,
I'll abstain.
abstain, Commissioner Cindy.
Oh dear, nay.
Nay. Okay, so that'll be 1 aye, 2 nays, 2 abstains? What was it?
One abstain.
1 abstain, sorry, 3 nays, 2 abstain. Okay, so closing this vote, I think that means we've re-elected Chair Cunningham for a 2nd term.
thank you very much. Thank you. And I will also say that I think you will be a very fine chair in due course of time. Okay, thank you. And so the next thing that we will be doing is electing the vice chair. And so if I hear nominations for vice chair,
I'd like to nominate Commissioner Yu for vice chair.
We have a motion for Commissioner He.
I second it.
We have a second?
Mhm.
Okay, do we have any other motions? Okay, hearing none, we can open this up to the public. Do we have any comments from the public on the nominations? Okay, hearing none. I think you guys have both already spoken. Do you want to speak again, or are we good to just take it to a vote?
We're good.
That, all right, excellent. Okay, so we're going to take it to a vote. Then, as I call your name, please say aye, nay, or abstain for
Okay.
voting in Commissioner He as vice chair.
Okay.
Chair Cunningham,
Aye.
Vice Chair Goals,
Aye.
Commissioner He.
Aye.
Commissioner Ryan,
Aye.
Commissioner Cindy.
Aye.
And if before we close this topic, I guess I would like to go on record as saying that I think that Commissioner will make a very fine vice president. She vice chair. Whatever it is, because she has been here a year and has shown remarkable growth and always participates, always has a good smart question, has always done homework, all the kinds of things that you want for someone in a leadership position. So I'm very happy to have you join my team.
I also would like to say, Chair Cunningham is absolutely amazing. She's really kind and like honestly, I received so much help from her last year being a new member on the commission. So I believe that she would 100% be a very good chair, and I believe that we will be a very good team.
Thank you
This
for
is
all the
great.
fine compliments.
The motion passes 5-0. So,
Okay.
um,
So
We
now we've elected the vice chair, the chair and the vice chair. And so we can move on then. Agenda item number 3. And the subject of that is fiscal year 2025-26 Community Development Block Grant Program, a low market rate affordable housing fund, general fund human sources grant, permanent local housing allocation, and county funding allocations. So the recommended action is to consider all of these things and to make recommendations to the city council, and the city council will make final approval. So on that basis, then I think I'll just give a little rundown of how that works is that Nikki will be giving us a presentation. And then after that, I guess a question is maybe to the applicants, or some of them wanted to talk. So is that next, right after you?
I can definitely describe that.
Okay,
So tonight's process, right, I will be giving a staff presentation on the topic and what will be staff's recommendation. And then after that, we will be opening it up to the public, right? A lot of you attended on behalf of one of the applicants. And so I have made the decision not to really be describing your guys' services in a lot of detail, right? I'm leaving that up to you guys, kind of advertise yourselves to the commission. And then after that, commission, you guys made a lot of comments on your evaluation, so that will be your chance to address them with the attendees personally, right? Ask your questions to them and get your clarifications from them, right then.
right. And as we ask questions, then we can get answers, correct? Either
Exactly.
From you or from the applicant.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Very good.
All right. So Thank you all for attending. It's time for the main event. My name is Nikki, Senior Housing Coordinator for the City of Cupertino. I'll be giving tonight's staff presentation. Tonight we will be considering the FY 25-26 CDBG, EMR, PLHA, County, and General Fund HSG funding applications and the funding recommendations. You'll notice there's a couple more funds added that was on the NOFA, right? NOFA only says EMR and HSG. We had a lot of applicants and there's a very large need. And there's actually more money that is applicable actually to housing services that we were able to identify, but we wanted to supplement applications we received with the additional funding, which is why there is 2 more funds that appear tonight. Now, we are addressing a lot of housing element policies with tonight's action. We're not going to get into what each and every one of them means. Just know that this does a lot of things for a lot of people. And we wanted to just highlight that and advertise that. And we will be reporting to ACD, of course, with all their necessary reporting tools about tonight's.
Give me a second before you move.
Yeah.
I didn't see all of them. I just wanted to check. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
No problem. So first, we will go in with what are funding sources that are before and what are the amounts in that we have in the balance essentially. So the biggest one is the BMR Affordable Housing Fund. We collect that money off of development applications we get from our planning and building projects. Right now, the total balance for that is 4.8 million. That's everything in the fund. Next, CDBG, Community Development Block Grant, that comes to us from the federal source, Department of Housing and Urban Development. We are estimating the next $887,000. It's not confirmed, that number. It's subject to some changes and then also changes in the federal government. But we are operating under the assumption that that will continue. And so that's where we'll leave that. Next, General Fund Human Services Grants. This is a local contribution from your city council, right, through the general fund to services to the low-income populations and the nonprofits who service them. Next is PLHA, Permanent Local Housing Allocation. That's a state source that is generally designed to increase housing affordability. It does also allow for certain extremely low-income services. And then finally, we have some funding from the County of Santa Clara, specifically to go to services towards the unhoused. The total amount of money that we are looking at is around $6.2 million from all funding sources combined. But I also want to put a caveat on that, right? We listed the total balance for these sources out of transparency, right? Particularly when it comes to below market rate fund, there's 4.8 million true in the balance. But in addition to doing construction of new affordable housing, right, there are other things that do get charged that fund that we need to account for. They all draw from the same pot. And it is kind of staff's recommendation to not award out money that's already been committed to another service. So these kinds of things would be like administration of our BMR program, right? That goes to Rise Housing. And then also provision of fair housing services. That's to protect against housing discrimination. Both of these are mandatory services, one of them federally mandated even. And so for those, our estimated cost for that per year is about $350,000. And so to budget for the provision of these services until 2030, which is more than 4 years from now, and 4 years is no specific number chosen, staff recommends that we do keep a reserve in the fund of about 1.8 million, just to make sure that until things become regular and we expect more money to come in, that we will be able to fund these services. That is staff's high recommendation, right? That we keep a reserve of 1.8 million. So we will now go into funding by activity, right? So within each of these grants, there is kind of like stipulations on what can be spent on what type of activity. We have funds that are specifically for services to nonprofits. And then we have funds that are specifically more for like the built environment stuff, public infrastructure, building affordable housing. So we're splitting those up by activity before you say, so you can understand what we're working with. Below market rate fund, about 50,000 of that is for activities community development block grant. We can only spend 15% of that grant up for public services. That's about 58,000. Human services grant, the whole thing is for services, so 129,000. And then County of Santa Clara, same thing, whole thing. So that's a 50,000 right there. And then next up, the second activity we have is the capital housing, right? So that's the acquisition, pre-development, development, rehabilitation, all sort of things related to affordable housing and the creation, protection, preservation of it, et cetera. So as we said, we want to be awarding or committing out $3 million out of the BMR fund for this activity, as well as from CDBG, $282,000. And then through the Permanent Local Housing Allocation Fund, $900,000 as well, for a combined amount of about 4.2 million. So in the end, we actually ended up near the same kind of 4 million amount-ish that we put in the NOFA, just kind of through other sources. Combining together.
May I ask a question before the end of your proposal? Or wait until the end? I can wait.
I would prefer just to get through the whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So now before you, I have the commissioner recommendations. When applications were submitted in, each of the commissioners did their own evaluation online. Some of us, we had issues with like text. Some of us, we had a lot of, personal crazy things come up. So I really do appreciate the commissioners taking the time and making out the effort to reach out to me to try to do their best to these recommendations. I don't take it for granted. I know it was a lot to look at. It was a ton of work. And I put them before here you all today for you to look at, but also to let you know that like we definitely took this into account. I read all of your comments. And so I do appreciate you putting it out this work for us. So these are commissioner recommendations. I'm going to very briefly explain a little something that Connie has touched upon. I'm going to be doing a staff recommendation tonight, but that's just it, just a staff recommendation. Whatever the commission decides tonight will be the official recommendation that goes to city council, right? So these are the people you guys want to convince, just so you know. Okay, so staff recommendation was based on a lot of different things that I looked at, right? And just so you guys understand, when it came to the development of affordable housing, things I considered were what units and clients that will be served by your proposal. Your program delivery outcomes, right? Like what are you aiming to do? Will you be serving any special needs populations? Is your service unique? Is there nobody else that kind of does what you do? What is the consistency that your service has with our kind of long range goals that we have in both the housing element and our consolidated? Level of affordability, right? Like this is particularly for affordable housing. Like, do you get to the really extremely low income? Do you get to the very low income? Things like that. Construction readiness. This is more specifically for construction projects, right? Do we feel like you're ready to go? Community feedback. What have we heard from the community regarding your project that may or may not cause a roadblock in the future? Financial viability of your project feasibility, and then finally availability of other funding sources. Right? Is it possible for your project to go forward with other project funding sources that we can help you identify? All of this kind of played a part. So now we'll get into it. With the first section, CDBG Public Service Funds, we had two applicants for this area. We had Live Oak Adult Day Services and West Valley Community Services, specifically for their care program. The staff recommendation for this section is to award $18,000 to Live Oak Adult Day Services and $40,000 to West Valley Community Services for their care program. This makes up the total of the 58 that we mentioned before. The next staff recommendation is for the BMR Fund Public Service Funds, where we had one applicant, Project Sentinel, for the provision of fair housing activities. Our recommendation is to fully fund their ask of $50,000 provision of fair housing services for the next year. The next category is for the Human Services Grant Public Service Awards. We had three applicants in this category. Catholic Charities for their Ombudsman Program, Senior Adult Legal Assistance, and then finally West Valley Community Services for their Haven to Home program. This is kind of their homeless case outreach program. Staff recommendation is to fund the first item, Catholic Charities, for $11,000, to fund senior adults legal assistance for $18,000. And West Valley Community Services, $100,000. It's a whole program. The combined amount of $129,000. Finally, for the County of Santa Clara funds, since this fund was outside of the NOFA, we were able to fund it to an applicant that did not technically respond to the NOFA, which is for Maitri, which is the domestic violence transitional housing shelter, for the full amount of $50,000. You'll notice there's a slightly different from the other awards you suggested, which is this is going to be for fiscal years of 2025 to 2027. So this is a 2-year grant of $50,000, which will kind of align them with the other public services that also kind of run on a 2-year grant. Only this is a one-time funding source, so we're suggesting we award the full thing out at once, but for the 2 years. Staff recommendations of that, just to explain a little bit, everybody didn't quite get what they asked for, but they got more than they received last year, or at least the same amount. And we saw, generally speaking, people meeting their deliverables, proposing good, unique, and valuable service. And we just wanted to fully fund everyone to the extent we can, right? At a level that would still allow them to still perform their services. So we all got pretty close for all of them, but that's just not quite. But that is competitive funding. Next, we're going to move on to the affordable housing applications. We received 2 affordable housing applications this year, very unique. So it's heartening, right, to see that we have projects that are being proposed, especially after the housing element effort. The first one is from Charities Housing for the Mary Avenue project. I'm going to just briefly state, kind of like a matter of fact, what are like the facts about each application. So the unit count for Mary Avenue will be 40 units. The affordability mix proposed is 20 extremely low, 19 very low, and 1 manager unit. And their special needs population that they are targeting is for intellectually / developmentally disabled special needs units. There will be 19 of those. The second project we have is from Eden Housing at the Wolf Road project. Their unit count at a total is 249 units. This is in 2 phases. The first phase at 101 units and the second phase for 148 units. And to specify, they're funding us specifically for the second. Their affordability mix includes 34 low income and 67 moderate income units in the first phase. And then in the second phase, there will be 60 very low, 86 low, and 2 manager units. Their special needs category that they're aiming for is teacher housing, educator housing, for 101 units in that first phase. Okay, so first category of staff recommendations is the CDBG Capital Housing Award. Now we had 2 applicants that we thought could be applicable under CDBG. Now, if you guys don't know, CDBG is very limited on what you can actually do for affordable housing. But for one of them, we have Rebuilding Together Silicon Valley, who do our low income rehabilitation program. They did a funding request for $107,500. Our recommendation is to fully award that request. And in addition, we are making a recommendation to fund Charities Housing Mary Avenue for $174,500. This is because specifically for the Mary Avenue project, it is on a parcel that currently contains part of the public right of way. And the thing with CDBG is you can use it really only for affordable housing when it comes to public infrastructure changes. And so because this contains part of the road, reconfiguring that road is considered a public infrastructure upgrade, which makes this applicable. So that is why we recommended this funding source to go to the Charities Housing project. For the PLHA Capital Housing Awards, we recommended a split between Charities Housing and Eden Housing. The staff recommendation is to award $600,000 to Mary Avenue and $300,000 to Wolf Road Eden Housing. So PLHA is also unique in that it can be used for pre-development as well as development. And so this split is just only based on the fact that Charities Housing has a planning application currently under progress. But we both wanted to have both projects kind of be able to kickstart their development and to have pre-development funding that they could start to use. As I understand it, Eden Housing is not that far behind. So we were recommending a split between the both. And then finally, we have our BMR capital housing projects. We are again recommending Charities Housing and Eden Housing. Our funding commitment recommendation for that 3 million that we previously mentioned is for 1 million to go to Charities Housing Mary Avenue and for 2 million to go to Eden Housing Wolf Road. Ultimately, both help us further our housing element goals, right? And they both touch upon things we need. So we wanted to try to cover around the same kind of 2-ish million, like when we combine all the funding sources together between the projects, so that we could award them both today. That was staff's recommendation. Now, when it comes to the BMR fund, we do have to include a contingency. We're just anticipating making sure that this gets approved by our city council later. Both these projects do not yet have planning entitlements, right? So what we're recommending to help push this through is to be specifically for the BMR fund to do these as commitments of funds, which means we're setting aside the funds. We're not letting them be touched by any other project yet, right? And these commitments will become awards, which authorizes us to enact an agreement and start their use upon them receiving planning entitlement, right? And then we're also adding a stipulation that if we receive additional funds during this process, that we can basically hold on to these applications and will award more funds later at a future housing commission meeting, just in case, so that we can supplement funds later on. This is our kind of contingency that we're recommending as part of staff recommendations. Okay, so now we've reached the part where actually first I want to allow the commission to ask any clarifying questions, because I think we might have some, right? Just about like technical things about anything I've said about the funding process, about my recommendation or anything like that.
Okay, are there any questions, Commissioner Lee?
Yeah, I do have one question, which is that, so with the funding for, Iden Housing, just support like phase 1, and like, would it support phase 1 and phase 2, or would it just support phase 1?
Great question. If it's for pre-development, it would essentially be for both, right? Because you have one planning entitlement for the entire project. When it comes to construction, my understanding from the application is construction would be just for phase 2. And they can clarify that.
Okay,
If I understand that correctly.
okay. And if they need future funding, they can apply again, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
She's asking if they need future funding, can people apply again? I say absolutely. But also I'm adding a stipulation. I want to hold on to these applications. So if more funds come in, like absolutely, we want to be able to, commit those out as well.
okay, yeah,
Yes.
that's it. That's it,
Yeah.
my question.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Are there any other questions?
Okay.
Commissioner Narron?
Yeah, I have more of a clarification, we're looking at evaluating all the applications I tried to put together under which funding they were applying for. And somehow I kind of got the idea that the CDBG housing projects, nobody had applied under that.
Oh,
Nor for the BMR, the public services. Those two categories, those two funding sources, nobody applied under those.
so this is kind of like a technical thing where it's like, I think I maybe have overcomplicated that application a bit. So I think in the future, like, cause I separated it out, right? I added like a CDBG housing, CDBG public service.
Correct, yeah.
BMR public
Yeah,
service,
yeah.
BMR housing.
Sort of.
I think in the future, I'm just gonna have it by funding source, because I think people like maybe thought they were applying just for like the public service, but they might have put in the wrong section or something like that. But like, I know that, for example, Rebuilding Together, they're not a public service, they're
Right.
doing rehabilitation, right? That's a housing thing. And so I can basically just, I know they're supposed to be in that category. So that's what I just did. I just moved them over.
That's why I was just thrown off by those numbers. It's like,
Yeah.
nobody applied for those two.
Yeah.
And then more people applied for this.
We'll simplify the application.
Yes, got it.
Yeah,
That was mine.
thank you. That's a great
Thank you,
question.
Commissioner, and
I have
Commissioner.
a question. Actually, on the very last part of the presentation, it seems like both the charities housing and Eden Housing had requested the same amount
Yes.
to be granted. And somehow the staff is recommending only 1 million for the Mary Avenue and rather 2 million, double for the Eden project. My question would be, those two projects, do they really serve the residents who live in Cupertino? That's my first question. Second would be, what's the feedback from the community, from the residents? Do we have any positive feedback that kind of vouching toward one of those, organizations versus or projects versus the other? I know from the amount of letters that we received toward this for this item, there were strong advocate for the Mary Avenue housing. And I did not hear anything. I believe there was one email regarding the Eden, but it came from the staff rather than residents. So my questions seem to be multiple questions.
I'll try to do my best. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll start with the first one. The funding distribution by staff was considering what are the total number of sources that we could try to make available for each project, right? And so like kind of like as I was saying, how we can actually use CDBG for Mary Avenue, which is kind of rare because their parcel is so unique. And also they have an IDD component, which this is something I didn't mention in the presentation, but the county home funds actually has a set aside specifically for IDD funding. That's why I think when it came to just the BMR fund that we have locally, which is a little bit more open-ended, I proportioned that one slightly not slightly, more for Eden, right, than charities housing, because I know that like there aren't really a whole lot of other IDD projects going on right now in Santa Clara County, which I think would make that funding from the county more available to charities. Does that make sense? That's why I recommended that funding split. It's just availability of funds in many projects.
If I understood correctly, it seems like the Eden project might get more funding from the county.
No.
Versus,
Charities.
okay.
Sorry, and your second question was about, what was your second question about? I'm sorry.
Well, my first question was about what's the population that is going to benefit from those projects? Are those residents, people who live in Cupertino, or
Okay.
maybe people who live in the county versus people who live in the county?
I mean, that depends on how you do lease up, right? But generally speaking, I think either project would be drawing from our BMR waitlist, right? And so the BMR waitlist that we currently use through Rise Housing, they do place priority placement for people that work and live in Cupertino.
Mhm.
So we would see people from Cupertino being housed first, primarily, yeah.
Thank you, Nikki.
Okay,
And let's see, Vice Chair Goals, Commissioner Goals, did you have any questions? No?
okay,
Okay, then I will follow up with my questions if I
Sure.
might. And so one of the things that I noted in your presentation was that you were making you were making judgments, right? Based on the various priorities that we have. And on page 5 of the staff report, it's talking about the number of affordable units provided, level of affordability reached, special needs population served, consistency with long-range housing goals, availability of other funding, project readiness, community feedback, financial viability, and project feasibility. So when I read that, I was looking at project readiness. And one
Okay.
of the things that stood out to me was that the Mary Avenue has been through several years worth of reviews through the council and through other processes that were required at the time. And so therefore, they said in there that they would start immediately and be finished with the project in 2 years. And I thought that spoke to me because it's been around, and ELI is particularly difficult to fund when you're talking about this funding availability. They have like a layer cake of stuff, then you have to get this, and you have to that, and then you have to get this. Anyway, if you're not familiar with it, it's very complicated, and each one has their own timing, and each one has requirements for giving funds and that kind of thing. So since it's been as a matter of fact, a city priority since I've been on the commission in 2019, was that? 6 years ago, in any case, it's been a city council priority. And so it's made a lot of progress over the years. And so I was very much interested. And the project readiness saying that they would start immediately and be finished by 2027 spoke to me, because that means new housing for people that they would be available. And when I read the other Eden's report, it said they would start in 2027. So that means that there's a lot of things that might get in the way. That's a terrible thing to say, but that's what happens with long-term project. Something might happen, and even though that's very fine, all the things that they would be providing, I think they have less of a hurdle when it comes to financing, because financing for very low and low income is more readily available. And so I was concerned about the fact that it wasn't even going to start building the homes until 2027, and there wasn't anything in the project report that said when they thought they might actually be completed. So that's why you may find that. Well, anyway, that was just one really serious difference to me, is project readiness versus some of the other issues that would be, well, and very ELI. So that was my question, especially when I saw all these other new fundings, PLHA and the county. A little confusing, because in the past we haven't had those fundings available to us, which are great, but I wasn't fully familiar with them and how they parsed in. And so have to admit, that's a little difficult for me to say, well, especially these two, the PLHA and the county. I'm not exactly sure how they fit into our funding, but I have to admit, since it was a little confusing, I'm sticking with the project readiness and the people who are served, the population served. Period. I just wanted to make it clear that there really is a lot of judgment allowed on these projects, and that we can think about that, especially as we're going to hear from that, right, tonight. So I will have those kinds of questions when that comes up. Okay. I'm
Okay.
finished.
Yeah, thank
I
you.
have one point to add to Commissioner Cunningham's on the Eden housing, right? I think what they had indicated as a rent for residents, somehow it didn't seem to be for low income.
Okay, so I should,
The amount of rent that they had suggested,
okay.
it was still like some $3500 to $4,000 per month or something.
Okay.
So that was one of the things probably we could get clarification on
That's a good point
forward.
addressed. Yes, thank you, Commissioner. Okay, any other questions before we?
I just have one comment. Is that for like the moderate income that they mentioned in like phase one? Is that?
Perhaps perhaps you can address that. Because it's hard for us to answer a question between each other, because we're not fully,
Right.
but thank you for I do the same thing.
These are great questions to ask our attendees that are here
Yeah,
today.
right.
So I'd like to open it up now for an attendance. First of all, who here plans on speaking? Just show of hands real quick.
What?
Who here plans to speak?
Oh.
Excellent. So we've got a packed house today. So that everyone gets a chance to speak. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have a timer, right? And I'm gonna just put 3 minutes on it, right? And then so as we go, we're just gonna go in order like this around the table.
Can we ask questions before we speak?
Questions for
Clarification on everything you showed us?
sure, yeah, okay, all right, yeah, yes, we can, actually. Do we have any clarifying questions from the audience? Okay, go ahead.
So this step, and it looked like you, split the PL, whatever it is, PLHA money.
Yeah.
Staff report said it all. It's part for Mary.
Oh, yeah, I can explain that. So previously, we had fully committed funding to the Mary Avenue project. This was back in, I guess, January, February-ish of this year. Back then, we only had one project application submitted at the time, and we needed to have it committed basically to satisfy some state deadlines. Very briefly, the difference between committing and awarding funds seems like just like legal wording, but in essence, they do two different things. Committing is to set aside money and make sure like they can't be taken by anything else. Awarding authorizes an agreement to be executed so that people can start spending it immediately. So we had it committed, right, to the Mary Avenue project. Through this action, we will be recommending awarding it out, which means starting to like put it out for like immediate use, essentially. So it's a different action slightly we're taking tonight.
So you corrected the staff report, is what I'm hearing.
No, we're going forward with the next step, essentially, and we will be we're basically allowing projects to go forward now with money. And awarding, right, if it is an any split, it will essentially be also a recommitment as well, right? So it's recommitting and fully awarding out, essentially.
The wording here said, we see, if I heard what you said.
Yeah.
As of 2025, the fund is not expended, it's $108,000. But has been committed
Yes,
to
committed.
Sharon's housing recovery project. So it's committed but not awarded, so it could go away.
So no, it's been committed. It can be recommitted, right? If the commission decides to a different funding split, or they could just choose to award it exactly it is, or award a different funding split with a recommitment is when it's
Maybe after we're all done.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's a great question, though.
Sorry, you also mentioned something about county funds that you thought may be more applicable for Mary Avenue specifically. But then I didn't understand where that was coming from, what the timeframe was, and how much it was.
It's called HOME, HOME, home funding through the county. We share that money with kind of all the other cities, Santa Clara, and we all kind of when we all have projects, all the different cities, we're allowed to basically kind of like push our projects to apply for that funding. And within that bucket of home funding, they actually do have an earmark for IDD projects specifically. And so that would be funding that is not available to any other kind of affordable housing project if they don't have IDD projects, is what I was mentioning. So the idea that potentially if there is another funding source that could be less competitive, essentially, to the general public, can use maybe other funding that is more open to other projects, right? That was the idea, right? Just the idea of the availability of funding.
Made great sense, but I didn't hear time things.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
is it $1 million that has to be awarded in 2025? Or is it $10 million that has to be awarded in a 2025 to 2030 timeframe?
My understanding is the county balance is somewhere between 3 to 4 million of home. And I think their earmark is about 1 million for IDD. But I'd have to talk to my county counterpart to confirm that.
Might I just ask a follow-on to that question? Because I thought the county that we were talking about was 50,000.
That's a different funding source entirely. Yeah,
Which funding source then is he talking about?
he's talking about home funding.
And that was in the report?
No, that's entirely separate. That I don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can't award that money. It's not even
We
controlled by. me.
can't award.
Yeah,
So the
yeah.
only county funding was this 50,000.
correct. And that is specifically for services to the unhoused. So it's homeless services. That one. Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you. That's a great question.
all right. Yeah, thank you.
Do we have another question?
I have a couple of questions. First, with regard to that county fund, how much did you say is in that fund?
The home funding?
Yeah,
I believe somewhere between 3 to 4 million in total.
that's tiny compared to all the cities around here that are trying to build the same kind of housing that we're trying to build. So that's minuscule. The other question I have is, I'm really confused about the Eden Housing Project. Why would they be asking for funds for phase two when they haven't even done phase one yet. And if we're supposed to have a project that's almost shovel ready before we even bring it for funding, why would a developer ask for funds for the second phase of a project that they haven't done the first phase on yet?
These are great questions to ask the people in attendance. I'm not here to be a spokesman.
But I think it's
Project.
important to understand why we would even accept those applications, because I thought that we had to have our project almost shovel ready before we could apply. And so now we're up against something that's years ahead, that's applying for the same funds that we're applying for. So I think it's important for the people that are making decisions tonight to know the answer to that question.
Project readiness is definitely something that the commission would be considering in their recommendation. And whatever their decision may be, right? That is something to consider. Do we have any other questions?
Okay.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you for the opportunity. Maybe similar, but just, would it be possible, to know what these funds would be used for, all of the projects at this point of time? Because we're talking of the year 25, 6, right? This for the 25, 26. Would that be-
Right. I think these are questions for the applicants.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so we're just gonna go in this direction around the room.
Okay.
Sorry,
Would you like us to make our presentations first? That would make.
that's, I think, okay. You know what? That makes a lot of sense.
That makes sense.
Let's have the two affordable housing projects go first. Yeah,
The second question I have for you is, this is a housing commission meeting, and
Yeah.
it has not been my experience that anyone other than housing commissioners ask questions to the presenting party. So are we answering questions from the public as well?
just the commission, but through the commission, if they want to reiterate any questions that they heard from the public, that's fine. So that's how we'll do that.
Okay, well,
I apologize. Would it make sense for the other nonprofit organizations to actually go first, since it sounds like the goal is to the other applicants?
there are 7 other applicants.
There are 7 other applicants. Okay,
I have no idea.
Reorder.
okay. I hear everyone that has good points. We're gonna go back to just in this direction now. Because I'm not supposed to show any sort of preference or things anyone would. So I'm gonna go 3 minutes on the clock, starting here, going around, and then when I hit 1 minute, I'm gonna put up the 1 minute mark, okay? All right. Let's
Is
start.
that before we make our presentations?
This is, everyone gets 3 minutes to speak. Everyone gets 3 minutes to speak.
I didn't understand. Are they making a presentation or not?
Everyone here gets 3 minutes to speak on behalf of their application.
So, Nikki,
Yeah,
may I suggest something?
sure.
If the organizations that are applying might have already, through their presentation, given the answers, it may cut the time of people asking those questions ahead of time.
Mhm.
So I'm thinking perhaps we can give those organizations a chance to go in whichever order, it doesn't matter,
Yes,
to present what the project is about, what's the readiness, how they're going to use the funds and
Yeah,
such.
that is the
And then allow the public to make comments, whether support certain project or certain organization or ask further clarifying questions.
I think that's a great idea.
I'm becoming so brave today. Excellent.
And who is here on behalf of the project? A representative of a project.
Happy to let the other organization.
Sure.
Yes, please.
Sure.
Yes, I know it's complicated. We're happy to cede to the other organizations first.
In by project, you mean any applicant?
Any applicant, any applicant. Okay, then we'll start over here then. Yeah. Okay,
Because we're part of the housing applicant, so it'll be a lot of questions and stuff, so.
okay.
You know, Excuse me if I might, Nikki.
Yes.
I think that it would be very useful to name the one that we're going to listen to, and then they'll know who they are that we're talking about.
Sure.
So I think since we have a whole list that says who they are, just start at the top of the list and go down.
Okay.
Because I know that I have a whole list of those to review. And it all started with, some beginning and then went to the end. And that was how we organized them. So you have a list, right? So
Sure.
please start at the beginning of the list, call out that applicant's name and give them the time to, and I'm assuming that they were going to have
Yeah.
3 minutes, and within that, they can organize who they want to speak to get the most information
Okay.
out in that
I like
3
that.
minutes.
I like that.
Big. I
Do
like
we
it.
have Live Oak Adult Day Services? All right.
Are you ready to start?
Yep.
Okay. My name is Heather Moore. I'm here from Live Oak Adult Day Services. Been an executive director there for the past year. And so I'm just here to share some brief updates on our program, specifically addressing our Cupertino Center. So we operate 4 adult day care centers in Santa Clara County. And at the Cupertino Center, we served in the last fiscal year 50 dependent seniors, as well as their households, providing specialized daycare and respite for their caregivers. We specifically served 14 low-income, senior residents, 3 very low-income senior Cupertino residents, and 2 extremely low income Cupertino senior residents, as well as their households. In total, we served 19 low-income individuals residing in Cupertino, providing them with specialized care, nutritious meals, referrals to other services, and most importantly, by providing dependent seniors with their own space to socialize with new friends and enjoy activities suitable to their individual ability levels, such as daily adaptive physical exercise. And I just wanted to thank you all for your support and answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Awesome. Great. So next we can go down the list. We have West Valley Community Services.
Thank you, Nikki. My name is Sujata Venkatraman, and I'm the Executive Director at West Valley Community Services, an organization supporting Cupertino residents and the West Valley region for 50 years. Before I start my comment, I really want to appreciate the staff and the commissioners taking time, reviewing it and making the recommendation. All these fundings, whether we are talking about services or housing, is meeting a need for Cupertino resident and the most underrepresented or the vulnerable. So I truly appreciate you putting the work, the money is there, and now we have all these organizations supporting. West Valley Community Services Care Program, which is community access to resource and education, is for our housed client. These are for families who are low-income seniors, who are low-income, and families who are at risk of losing housing. And in this particular program, what we offer is food assistance. They come weekly to our market to get food. Each family can save up to $400 to $500 on their grocery bill, which they can keep as their asset for emergency. The program also provides intensive case management to making sure that people can navigate social services. It helps them to connect with social services because many of these families could benefit from that. It also helps them with rental or PG&E prevention shutoff. Last year, we served nearly 200 Cupertino residents and provided them in financial assistance in the amount of $195,000. And what that did is it prevented people from becoming unhoused. My other program that I applied under, Haven to Home, is primarily for the unhoused or the residents who have or taking or not in the shelters, out on the streets, people who are in their safe park, in cars, or in their RV. That is an intensive program. We serve nearly
150 households through that program, families with children, seniors, single adult youth as well. And that particular program is intensive around finding housing for them, helping the city do outreach and finding ways that we can move them out of encampments, but also for giving them resources like laundry quarters, a warm meal, bus passes, so they can again navigate the social services system and eventually be housed. So I'm here for any questions you want to have.
You.
Quick question, because I did have a question earlier, and now, of course, some looks like someone's gonna have a question at West Valley as well. Should we, I'm not sure.
Let's let everyone go first.
Let everyone go
Yeah, let's
first
let
and
everyone
then
go first.
ask questions.
Yeah.
Okay, thank
Uh,
you.
Yeah.
May I make a suggestion?
Sure.
As you represent your organization, so we are fully aware of what you're offering. I wonder if you could add one simple line, whether you're pleased with what the staff has recommended versus what you wish to get. So that way we may understand and probably give some supporting evidence that what the staff is recommending is going to meet the need at this percentage versus what you really need. And of course, there's multiple factors contributing to how we're all.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Do we have Project Sentinel in attendance? Seeing none, we'll move on. Do we have Catholic Charities in Santa Clara County?
For ombudsman?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi.
Hello, members of the commission, everybody present here from the different partner organizations. My name is Milton Cadena. I'm the program director for senior services for Catholic Charities Santa Clara County. I would like to say thank you for the ongoing support and the support that this city has provided to the ombudsman to be for so many years. And in this case, the application is for the ombudsman program, which serves the vulnerable seniors living in long-term care facilities or Northfield facilities, or RCFs in some cases called. Since it falls under the two categories of low income and disabled. The ombudsman is an advocate for the most vulnerable citizens in your city, those living in nursing homes and assisted facilities, and we advocate for their dignity, rights, and needs, especially for those that are seniors and disabled. The Ombudsman Program is authorized by the federal and the state Older Americans Act to advocate for their rights, and is an unduplicated program that has full access 24/7 to those facilities. In fact, they are mandated to keep our posters in all the facilities at all times, displaying a visible place. The main function of the program is to investigate and resolve complaints made by or on behalf of the residents related to issues of quality of care or abuse. Ombudsman protect and help to improve the quality of care in those facilities. Living in long-term care facilities is not everyone's first choice. Many seniors and disabled adults have no other option but to live in a facility like that. And for that, it's important that we protect their rights. These facilities are their homes in this case, and sometimes they are discharged due to problems with their intensity of care or their families, or sometimes because the facilities prefer private pay. If notified on time, an ombudsman can actually prevent that and prevent a senior from being left out of this housing arrangement. In essence, we investigate elder abuse and we resolve complaints and we mediate and give referrals and witness advanced healthcare directives in collaboration with other agencies, some of them here present like SALA, the Sheriff's Department, Adult Protective Services. For the city of Cupertino, we serve 3 skilled nursing facilities, 3 RCFs with at least 6 beds for a total of 429 beds in the city of Cupertino. We applied for 12,000. I still recommendation for 11,000. We can work with that to deliver the outcomes that we propose. If you divide 12,000 by the number of hours, service is an average of $47 an hour. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Do we have senior adults legal assistants in attendance?
May I approach table?
You may.
But those are option. I want to talk to people better.
Good evening. I'm Georgia Basile, Directing Attorney of Senior Adults Legal Assistance, or SALA. We are a nonprofit law office. We provide free legal services to older adults, seniors, targeting clients that are very low income or at risk of abuse or loss of independence. We are the only provider in Santa Clara County authorized to provide these services under the Older Americans Act. We are a current human service grantee, and we thank you so much. Your funding supports expanded availability of our services here in Cupertino. Last year, at least 80% of the Cupertino clients we served were very low income. 57% were 75 or older, and 43% had a disability, placing them in high need. We provide our services monthly at appointments at Cupertino Senior Center and by phone for clients that cannot leave their homes or that have emergencies and can't wait for an appointment. We are recommended for $18,000, which we would be very happy and grateful to receive. Will enable us to provide our services. So we thank the staff for the recommendation. We address a range of legal matters affecting our clients' daily lives. For example, we assist with legal problems involving public benefits, Social Security, SSI, Medicare, and Medi-Cal, benefits that our clients rely on for daily living. We assist clients that are worried about eviction, clients needing reasonable accommodations in their housing, usually because of a disability, or clients whose housing is otherwise in jeopardy. We help clients do very basic legal planning for the future to help them age in place by appointing someone they trust to step in and make decisions for them when they can no longer do so, usually through powers of attorney. And regrettably, we continue to help clients that are victims of elder abuse and domestic violence, both physical and financial, usually by someone living in their home, an adult child, a grandchild, a tenant renting out a room, and sometimes even their neighbors. And we are attorneys. We're a law office, so we are in court getting restraining orders under domestic violence if the clients are under 65, or under elder abuse if the clients are 65 or older. Under the Older Americans Act, we cannot charge fees for our services. We can't accept fee-generating cases. The only way we really support ourselves is through grants. And we have a variety of grants from almost every jurisdiction here in Santa Clara County, including the county and other sources. For the past 2 years, we did receive some one-time money, COVID-related money of over $100,000 each year to augment our services throughout Santa Clara County, including in Cupertino. That funding ended in September, so we need your support now more than ever so we can continue to provide the highest level of service possible. So we thank you so much for your support, and we hope you will support the staff recommendation. I'm happy to answer questions.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Do we have Maitri in attendance? Okay.
Evening, all honorable chairwomen, members of the commission, and fellow agencies who are here today this evening. My name is Tejasvi Dada. I'm here representing Maitri, as survivors and victims of domestic violence since 1990. I want to begin by thanking the city of Cupertino for being a steadfast and long-standing ally on Maitri's journey since 2012 in different forms, especially supporting a transitional housing program. Before 1991, immigrant women in Santa Clara County and San Mateo counties had a very difficult time seeking services for domestic violence because of their linguistic and cultural barriers. And that is the need that this agency was born out of, and a transitional housing. A transitional housing program serves everyone, all races, all ethnicities, and many of our residents are at the risk of being unhoused or currently because of domestic violence. We provide weekly case management services. We accompany them to courts. We provide legal advocacy where we work with them to obtain restraining orders, sometimes go through the family law process. Their immigration, we work with them on transportation, whether it's bus pass or any other transportation needs that they might have. We frequently work with West Valley Community Services where our clients go. Charities Housing, once they graduate from a program where they stay from 9 months to 1 year. Today, I'd like to take the opportunity to read something of a note that we received from one of our clients recently. At present, I do not have a family that I can rely on for help. The only support I have is from an agency and my case manager, who has been a constant source of encouragement and assistance, where I have found genuine support more than family, especially after my husband abandoned my son and me. It is something I never expected to find in such a big and strange country. During my time at Maitri, I have not only received a roof over my head, but also been encouraged to work on my self-growth. The staff at Maitri has helped me in motivating and helping me believe in myself. I started working, something I never thought would be possible when I first arrived in the US, given my circumstances of my marriage and the controls that my partner experienced. However, one fear I've always had is the uncertainty about what to do if something happens outside of my team. Here I feel a sense of peace knowing that I can reach out for help. The support has been invaluable. Maitri is a place where I finally felt secure and safe and feeling I never thought possible. What feels like a dream to me is that Maitri encouraged me to work on my education and has even sponsored me with a scholarship tuition fee. This support has been life-changing and given me hope that I can build a brighter future for myself and my children.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Thank you so much. Do we have Rebuilding Together Silicon Valley here? Okay, you have the floor.
So much. Hold it. Here for everybody. Honorable Chair, and members of the City of Cupertino Housing Commission, Nikki, thank you very much for having me here tonight. My name is Elena Purcell Schrader. I'm our Development Director at Rebuilding Together Silicon Valley. We greatly appreciate your partnership and all of those fellow organizations here presenting tonight. And thank you for the opportunity to speak with you all today. Rebuilding Together Silicon Valley is a local non organization. We are dedicated to providing life-changing home repairs for low-income neighbors in need across Santa Clara County and explicitly, of course, within the city of Cupertino. We're deeply grateful for the city of Cupertino's longstanding support through the Community Development Block Grant Program and of our safe and healthy housing home repair program. With the city of Cupertino's funding, we've been able to make a significant impact on the lives of residents who face financial barriers to maintaining safe and healthy homes. These critical repairs, whether it's fixing a leaky roof, installing a wheelchair ramp or lift, or addressing unsafe electrical issues, help prevent displacement, improve health and safety, and create stability for vulnerable families. In the past year alone, your investment at the city of Cupertino has enabled us to serve 7 households, ensuring that 11 vulnerable residents can remain in their homes with dignity. The work that we do is not just about critical home repairs and safety modifications. It's about giving people the opportunity to thrive in an environment that promotes well-being and community. We deeply value our partnership with the city of Cupertino, and with your continued support, we can expand our services to reach even more of those who are most in need. We're proud to be a part of this community and committed to ensuring that every resident has access to safe, affordable housing. Thank you for your continued support, and we look forward to working together to build an even stronger city of Cupertino. And then specifically to answer your question, our request was for $107,550 to serve 7 households. And we greatly appreciate Nikki and the staff's recommendation to fulfill that request. So thank you very much. And of course, here to answer.
Thank you. Okay, next up, we have Charities Housing. I understand you submitted a visual aid.
I did.
I will.
I'm not a good extemporaneous speaker, Dixie, and that's all it is. Good evening, Commissioner. Oh, I'm sorry.
A second, sorry about
I
that.
can start.
Yeah.
There you go.
All
Good
right,
evening, commissioners and Nikki. I'm Andy Leaf with Charities Housing. I have with me Marvel Lang, our development director, should questions come up later. Thank you for considering our application through the city's NOFA. Next slide. For commissioners not familiar with Charities Housing, we are a nonprofit developer dedicated to serving Santa Clara County. We have 31 developments, 30 of them in Santa Clara County, one little project in San Mateo County. Next, thank you. Our current development we have in Cupertino is the Veranda, which serves 19 seniors. And we can move on. Our project that we've applied for funding for SNOFA is on Mary Avenue between the dog park to the north and the new Westport development to the south. Just to give you visual context. Basic project information. The project is two-story buildings separated by a parking lot in between the two. And we have 40 units, 3 studios, 22 one-beds, 14 two-bedrooms, all serving residents between 30 to 50% of AMI. 20 of the units are actually at 30% extremely low income. And 19 units will serve individuals with developmental disabilities. Next, please. We would like to request additional funding. We would like to request from whatever sources are available, $3 million. This would provide approximately 8% of our project funding. And my point in making that is saying that is that that's a fairly high percentage of the funding compared to, larger projects. It would make a great impact on the Mary Avenue's budget. The local source would really help in scoring for tax credits and other state funding. The funding will leverage the city's current investment in the site. The city created this parcel, has dedicated it for for this housing. And so we believe the time is now to make 8+ years of planning a reality for this IDD housing. So this funding can be put to use in fairly short order. The funding, if we get a higher amount, would enable us to avoid the state supernova process. I don't want to get into acronyms too much and into the weeds, but it will make a great difference in allowing us to move forward at the time frame that we'd hope to do. I have 1 minute.
oh, sorry, that was.
That's 3. Oh, okay.
I was.
I am good. Yeah, we're good. I think the rest of it, we have some partners.
That's like.
Well, if my 3 minutes are up, my 3 minutes are up.
When I get up.
Sure, if you want to follow up after.
Finish the report.
Yeah.
That was a fast.
That's live.
The
Okay.
speed dating is tough.
It is. We're gonna go on to Eden Housing. You will have 3 minutes. Whenever you're ready.
I'm gonna talk fast. Greetings, housing commissioners. My name is Dixie Baus. I'm the Director of Real Estate Development for Eden Housing. I'd like to thank you for considering the Wolf Road Affordable Housing for an award of BMR and PHLA funds. The staff recommended $2,300,000. A funding award from the city is pivotal for making the project competitive for additional funding sources. Then will be a massive boost to move this project forward. Wolf Road Affordable Housing is 148 homes, 100% affordable new construction development that's part of a larger Wolf Road development sponsored by the County of Santa Clara. The other component of the project is Wolf Road Educator Housing, which will provide 100 units of moderate income educator housing to employees of school districts in the West Valley area of Santa Clara County. The County of Santa Clara selected Eden Housing in early 2024 to implement their vision for educator mixed income housing at this incredible location. The project is in pre-development with a preliminary planning application under review by the city, by Cupertino's planning department. We anticipate Planning Commission approval later this year, with construction slated to begin at the end of 2026. The construction timeline is expected to take around 2 years, with residents anticipated to move in by 2029. Our goal is to have both the affordable phase and the educator phase under construction at the same time. Wolf Road Affordable Housing will offer a variety of unit types with emphasis on large family housing, with half of the units as 2 and 3 bedrooms. Community input is a key driver in shaping the project's final design, and additional target populations will be determined based upon ongoing community feedback. The project represents a unique opportunity to provide affordable housing in the area of Cupertino that is undergoing significant transformation. Future residents will benefit from the area's walkability, proximity to schools and jobs, and recreation areas. Eden Housing will manage the project through its management arm and provide resident services through its resident services arm. I thank you for your time, your consideration, your work, the other organizations that are here doing fantastic work for the people we house and for those in our community in Cupertino. And also for my colleague who provides housing as well. Congratulations.
Okay,
That's it.
thank you. So I think we've managed to hit at least every applicant at least once. Do you want to open it now to the public to allow them to also speak their pieces? Start asking clarifying questions first.
I don't believe we have any public other than the folks here, but we could open it and see if there are.
Do we have any members from the public here present who wanted to speak on behalf of any applicant?
We have
Seeing two, right? Seeing two, you should, 3?
Two, wait, two, who's the third one?
Gia's here.
Yeah, okay.
3? Okay, all right, I think same rules, right? 3 minutes on the clock. You'd like to be last, got it, okay. Would you like to be first? All right. Okay. You send, which one was it?
Gia, Gia.
This one?
Oh, not that one.
This one?
No, that.
No,
Oh,
not that one. No, sir.
I'm just gonna keep going until we hit something. This one?
Yes.
Okay, got it, okay. We made it.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Thank you for the space to speak and all the time and consideration staff took for this process. My name is Gia and I'm with Housing Choices. We'll be the on-site service provider for Mary Avenue Villas and manage the lease-up process for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities, or IDD. We were founded by parent advocates who wanted their young adult with IDD to stay in the community as they aged, especially when they had little to no income. Next slide, please. We partnered with developers all across Santa Clara County to set aside affordable housing for individuals with IDD since we were founded in 1997. This model has worked in San Jose, Santa Clara, Mountain View, but as you can see, Cupertino still lacks solid independent living options for people with IDD. Next slide. To qualify for our services, including the IDD units at Mary Avenue, individuals need to be part of the regional center, which is like a big resource hub for people with IDD. In Cupertino, that's going to be SARC, the San Andreas Regional Center. We help our residents secure and maintain housing, navigate benefits, and engage in their communities. Next slide. So Cupertino needs Mary Avenue Villas, and thank you for city staff and the commission for recognizing this. The city has 325 residents with IDD, yet nearly 70% of its adult population still lives with aging parents. Where will they all go when their parents can no longer care for them? Mary Avenue is a rare opportunity to be that answer. In Santa Clara County alone, 61% of our clients earn $35,000 a year or less. We all know $45K a year is not a survivable amount in the Bay Area. This is extremely low income, putting our disability folks at risk of displacement and homelessness. To have much needed, deeply affordable housing, we rely on VMR funds. Mary Avenue's location gives residents transit access, essential services. We know that many of our IDD residents
don't drive as well, meaning reduced parking demand and less traffic compared to other populations. We've been fighting for IDD housing, as many of you know in this room, for years. The Valco project, our previous ED worked on back in 2008, once included IDD units, 40 of them actually, but it was shut down. Other sites were too expensive because the developer would have to buy the land. We can't afford to lose another opportunity. I appreciate the commission's work a lot, city staff, and kindly asked to prioritize funding for Mary Avenue. There was a question about the home county grant, which I'm with our ED, Denise, who can answer questions more about that. I think there's a little misinformation about that was said.
Oh, yeah. So regarding the home funding, if I may, the funding was for Measure A funds, which have been earmarked for other projects. We are in the process of meeting with our new council members to see if they can increase that funding, but it was previously with Joe Samarian that, was able to get that funding. So that's some funding that we aren't sure we'll be able to get into since they've already been committed. So I just wanted to provide a little more information on that.
Thank you.
And then I think we also had one person here, or here,
Is there anyone?
over here. Did you have a visual aid, or you?
I don't think I'm gonna use it.
Okay, you got it.
No, because I thought that I thought that we'd be dealing with phase one of the Eden Housing Project and not phase two. So most of what I had written to talk about had to do with
Okay,
phase one.
we'll just go without it.
So I'm here on behalf of three others. So if I go a bit over, please don't cut me off. But I also had to cut this all up because of the logic I had written out was for
Sure.
something else.
Or
Anyway, thank you very much for having us here tonight and for dealing with the awards of this funding money. That's very important. After over 25 years of advocacy, creation of affordable housing units for adult Cupertino residents who have intellectual and developmental disabilities is long overdue. Advances in medical care plus Cupertino's special education programs have enabled people with IDD to live longer, become more capable, and be more independent, seeking respect, dignity, and the freedom to make their own choices. They want to move out of their parents' homes and live on their own in their hometown with family nearby. My daughter, who's over there, right now, want to stand up, Cindy? And you can look around the room and then you can sit down. Has an apartment in Cupertino because she benefits from having her own Section 8 voucher, which is nearly unheard of today. Without it, she couldn't afford to live independently. We support the Mary Avenue Villas because we want others with IDD to experience the same joy she has had from living in her own place. Adults like her on an income below 30% AMI can only afford very low income or extremely low income housing. The Mary Avenue Villas apartment project on leased land from Cupertino could become home for people in Cupertino who have IDD. This nearly shovel-ready project is now applying for much-needed below-market rate funds. Recently, the county purchased land in Cupertino where they intend to develop rental housing that will bring affordable housing to educators and school district staff from 15 local West Valley school districts. So I'm trying to understand why you're working first with phase two rather than phase one. And I'm also trying to understand if that project is going to be open to people from 15 different school districts, why can they not be applying to 15 different cities at least for the same monies that they're applying for here? Our project is dedicated to residents of Cupertino. We've been working on this project, it seems like forever. We finally got the ducks in line and we want to go forward with this project if we possibly can. So we would like, if possible, to get all $3 million because we think that the other project will be able to apply again. and that more monies will be added to the fund. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
You know,
Take my slide back first. And then we'll
Yeah.
finish up with the one that didn't get.
Is it, sorry, we got a lot of visuals. This one, right? All right. Yeah.
So I want to give people a little bit. Some of you may have it, some of you may not. My name's Arnold. 6-year resident, council, I'm the mayor. As you heard, in 2018, the need for affordable housing for adults with developmental disabilities was met in the Marriott, in the Valpo project, giving hope for the first time for people to have homes here in Cupertino. That project went away for various reasons, but the city council at the time really cared about still delivering that capability. And in 2019, this slide was presented by the mayor at the State of the City, saying, we need to do this. We need to find a way to do this in the city of Cupertino. And I was sitting in the audience at the time, and he had no idea about the possibility of what we did with Mary Avenue, but he was gonna go find some land. He had an example in Minneapolis, the city getting together. That's how this project was formed. I'll take that last slide.
You got it. This one, right?
Yeah.
All right.
So we started to work on it. And, how do we do that? It's the city's land. The city said, I can't give that to you in spite of the good intentions. We're gonna have to put out an RFP for anybody to bid on the opportunity to do this. Council voted unanimously to proceed with the proposal back in 2020. By the way, we're now in a certain area called COVID, slowed everything down. But we worked on that, proceeded that, the RFP was submitted. Again, unanimous 5-0 votes, which don't come easy in the city of Cupertino nowadays. And then we won the RFP. And then the next thing was the draft ENA exclusive negotiating agreement for us to go and proceed with the project. And that was signed between the developer and the city, was again unanimous council approval. And we've had community outreach meetings. We're ready to go today. So 2 things. We're ready. And we're needy. So the idea, well, there's some other money here and other money there and whatever. Those other monies, like the county and everything, were already in the plan. So it's not magic that, and so we're ready, we're needy. Thank you.
Excuse me, Nikki, if I might,
Sure.
7:00.
Okay.
Okay, the meeting started at 5:30 and I'm normally they go an hour and a half. So I just wanted to touch base with everyone here as far as their availability to stay longer. It's unfortunate. It sounds like it's going to take a little bit longer to get through the whole process. What would you estimate from here is the right number of time? 30 minutes or?
Well, that really depends on how many questions the commission has for the applicants, right? If you guys get that best.
Okay, I will suggest then, since it depends on the commission now, I was wondering if that had, we got to that part.
Yeah.
We have now heard from each of the applicants and we have each asked questions and clarifying questions already. So we can do one more round, I think, if you have a question that you need to ask in order to make a decision.
Specifically to the
Please.
applicants. Yeah.
Hmm?
Specifically to the applicants too, since they're here.
Yes,
Yes.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep, thank you. A question that you need answered before you can personally make a decision about our final thing, which is to make an recommendation to the city council. So with that said, then there's 5 of us. And so we can maybe 3 minutes, at least we'll just take 3 minutes and see how that works. If that gets us enough information to move forward, then that's good. If we need to, maybe at that time, ask for another extension, but it would be nice if we in fact have heard enough and all that. So I'm going to then ask for, I'll just say, who would like to go first with the questions? Go first. You want to ask?
Yeah, so for charity housing, I have two questions. Now, number one is what's the occupancy rates usually is for projects you mentioned? And the second question is that what would be the consequence? Let's say you walk away with the funding recommendation today that Nikki have. So it seems like it's short of what you guys are expecting. So what would be the consequence of that? Would it be like delayed development or what would it be?
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. You're asking about the Veranda Senior Project. What is the occupancy?
Yeah.
I might defer to Marvel.
Unfortunately, we can, I don't know if that answer. off the
I
top
would,
of my head.
I would venture to guess it's 100%.
Okay.
And it has been.
Yeah, so, pretty certain in
We'll
that.
concede.
The, the second question, so, yeah, it was rushing through, so thank you for a little more time. With a lesser amount, we may be forced to go to a state funding source that then becomes a lot more uncertain whether we get the additional funding. And, with the city's money, we're confident, we can package that with the other sources, with the county money, with tax credits, and avoid going into this state supernova project, funding, which is very competitive.
Okay,
And
so
so it's critical to us to have the city's funding.
so can I understand it if you walk away with Nikki's staff recommendation today, there might be some delayed development? Is that like a safe assumption or?
That's fair to say.
Okay. I have the same exact question for Eden Housing and Eden Housing. And I heard in your presentation that both phase one and phase two would happen at the same time, and I want to make sure that is correct. So phase two with the BMR housing would ideally get started as soon as possible after approval.
Yeah, correct. So both phases are financed independent of each other with different sources of funding. The county of Santa Clara is fiscally supporting the teacher housing one out of funds previously committed. So our task was to create more units, but go and get funds outside of the county to make the balance of the 249 a reality. We appreciate the work that Charities does. We appreciate our partners also with the IDD community who is in a lot of our projects. And so if 3 million is going to get them to the finish line, Eden can certainly work with what we have and continue to raise funds to not put them in the whack-a-mole project at the state, since I will be at the whack-a-mole state project. So we would support that recommendation from the commission as well. So just to throw that out there.
Okay.
Did that answer your questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm just assuming that if the phase one funding falls short, it would not affect anything that's going on phase two.
We're gonna go 1,000 miles an hour, and as my colleague stated, our main plan is to also go into the state. And
Okay.
if local funding is imperative. It's not that, oh, we don't need it. It is really imperative. Even at that 1.3 million to put an application in at the state level. Certainly, our project is not as close with raising the soft funds, though we are at the same point in entitlements. We just move a lot quicker on entitlements. We have a team, but we cannot do the state funding request without an entitled project. So we know that we're a little bit farther behind in fundraising on the non-teacher housing. But we feel confident we can get caught up. And if it lags, that's how affordable housing works. We are building that project here. Thank you. Sorry, I went way over.
No, it's okay.
That's
It's
good.
okay.
It was all good
Yeah.
information.
Yes, yes, that's what I said. Thank you.
I'll
Commissioner
go,
Narayani?
thank you. I'll go next. Next, the questions are for both of you, the Mary Avenue and the Eden Housing. Mary Avenue, have you obtained permits for the project? I heard something about three.
Right, so.
What stage of the
Yeah.
drawings at?
Right, so we've gone through what's called, what Dixie called, referred to as the preliminary application, so. The planning department gets the plans, they route them around to Public Works, Fire, all those folks, they give comments. It's very informative, so that then when we submit an actual permit application, which is what we have done now. That we've already got a bunch, it should go fairly smoothly.
So you have.
We've submitted what's called an entitlement or development permit application.
Do you have
we went-
construction documents?
No, we don't, we
Okay.
do construction documents after we've gone through this next round of review.
So
But the
then-
entitlement, as Dixie said, is critical to like go to the funding sources. So we're always trying to get that approval of this, build the project.
And you will not start the documents until you have funding. Is that right?
No, we typically start building permit drawings prior to requesting tax credits, because once you get those, you have a very tight timeline to pull your building permit, so. But when we apply for tax credits, we'll be really confident we're gonna get them. We'll start the construction drawings. And we have to start within 6 months of getting tax credits. Sorry to get in the.
No, I'm just, trying to understand the timeline. You said it's, ready, right? And you said construction will be complete by end of 2026? Is that?
We're expecting to start toward the end of 2026.
Start 2026, so
Right.
people will not be housed until like
The end of
2027 or 2028.
Twenty 27 or 2020? She said 28.
Well,
I'm
The construction is the
27, so that's important.
Yeah.
So is it that then 2027?
The end of 2027.
There you go. Okay.
You know,
So you're assuming 12-month construction for those two big buildings.
For 14 months.
For the event.
For the
Okay.
evenings.
All right. One quick follow-up. Are these all rental or ownership units?
They're all rental.
They're all rental units. Okay. Question for Eden Housing. You said this is for educators, right? How many school districts that you are thinking of that?
Actually, I don't know the school districts that are involved. All I do know is it's West Valley school districts. And so that would be the Cupertino area, but I don't know the exact school districts in the Cupertino West Valley area that is in the educator housing part, because that's aside from this project.
So it's not necessarily teachers who are working in Cupertino schools. That,
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question.
and typically public schools, the school district gets state funding for just housing. I've seen in other school districts that have you reached out there for state funding? Because public school construction, California Department of Education and OPSC, they provide funding.
Yeah, no, the state has pulled back all of the funding that they allocated on the educator housing for the state. They did that 2 years ago. And so there will be no more Department of Education funding programs. The educator housing that's being built now, it's my understanding the funds are being raised by the school districts themselves who are going out for bonds, sometimes general obligation bonds, sometimes bonds backed by the housing. That is not the intent of our housing development at all. The county will be helping us bridge the gap in funding on that.
So you don't plan to reach out to the school districts to cover any funding
No,
for
they
educator housing?
absolutely don't have any funding for educator housing at all, at all.
And again, same questions, rental or ownership?
They're all
They're
rental,
all rental units.
correct.
And again, what stage are the drawings at?
We're in what's called the entitlement drawings. So anytime you're in entitlement drawings, you're never gonna go to construction drawings because it's too much of an investment for an unknown period of time. And so when you submit for plans at the planning level, you're in what's typically called schematic design. And then by the time you get out of planning, you'll go through design development, but you'll not go to the, what we call the CD stage until it's pretty evident you're gonna get the rest of your funding together. Yeah.
And if I understood what you said earlier, that you were willing to forego your funding for their purpose?
Not all of it. He needs 3 million. I'm like, all right, let's get him to 3. No, I'm not giving you the kitty.
Okay.
That's not fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, okay, excuse me, Commissioner. Julie, do you have any further questions?
I'm sorry, this is how I work.
Or you can make a decision.
It's not going to be a question. I so appreciate how very prepared you were. And I love what I'm seeing right this moment, that two organizations that appear competing for the same funding are able to work together and recognize what's the most immediate need, how can I support each other? And I hope you can speak in the same language a year from now. Remember this moment.
Thank you. They're a great organization. They're really great organizations.
I've worked with,
So are you.
I've worked with Eden for 20+ years in various forms.
It's incredible. I'm just, wow, I feel like I haven't seen such positivity in such competing.
Well, actually, you haven't been here before, the Housing Commission.
She's a big personality and with a big heart.
There have been.
Yeah.
Things like this in the past, and we do appreciate it very much that the community that is supporting below market rate housing for every kind of thing that has to be done. We've seen that from West Valley as well, and from others that I can't remember them all, but just saying, we have seen it and we really do appreciate it because the need is so great and the money is tight. And it's always very, very competitive. So I agree. But I think you'll find that this is a nice place to be. So I wanted to ask if Vice Chair Goals, if you have any questions?
Not at this time, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I would just say that I appreciate the certainly what Eden and the charities have done to be able to come to grips with that, because as it was explained, and as I said earlier, this particular project with Charities Housing has been going through a lot of hoops for a long time, and the ELI money is particularly difficult to get, and that layer cake particularly difficult, and the timing for each little piece and all that stuff, so important. And I'm just happy to see that that is something we can do. I certainly, yeah, because I had said that earlier, right? So I would say that we have not asked any questions of any other offeror. So I don't know if that means that we don't have questions that we need to have answered before we make our final recommendations. So I would just ask to go around. Yui, do you have for any of the other offerors? Yeah.
I do have one question for the services, like for the legal assistance, how, I know, like you said, you're providing in senior center, I'm sorry, I don't remember. Okay. Yeah, so how are you finding, so you said you offer in the Cupertino Senior Center, right? How about people who don't come there? How do you find those seniors who are?
Well, we go to 20 senior centers throughout Santa County on a regular schedule. Most of the sites we've been visiting, I've been with the organization for 41 years. I can tell you most of the sites we've been visiting, even though they renovate Cupertino, you know, it's a newer site. But we're there the third Monday, the third Friday morning of every month. regular schedule. They publicize our services, give us a free room. They schedule appointments.
Yeah.
So if a Cupertino resident goes to another site like Sunnyvale or Santa Clara or whatever, which they're free to do, we'll serve them there as well. For clients that have urgent matters, they call our office if there's facing evictions, we have a restraining order. Those are pretty much the two urgent matters that we handle.
Yeah.
So we'll serve them by phone and Sean, do they call visits? There's on phone bound, just feel nursing facility, please, and on. So we're out there, we've been around for actually 50 years that I've been with the organization, 41. So, so we don't have any filthy car appointments. Like we have the meeting on this. And then every May, the Cupertino Senior Center hosts, an event, Older Americans Month. We're already scheduled 3 there. They're very, very good about scheduling, and they will have all kinds of other vendors there. For seniors, they'll have a health fair. We're gonna do a special presentation there as well. So, we hope, people know about us. And they're able to access our services, and they're free.
Yeah, thank you. One more for, somebody was talking the repair work for. Yeah, so what type of repairs do you do? Is this like getting permits? And then like getting permits from the city or this is ownership homes, owned homes, people who are living there?
Great questions.
How do they find, and then how do you find that?
Great questions. So our organization, clients that support our low income, vast majority are extremely low income. On average, we take care of 400 homes a year, roughly about 600 clients. And the process by which they come to us, we have an extensive outreach program similar to what George was describing with her outreach efforts. We have a team that goes out to all of the local senior centers. We're supporting the entire county. So we're making our services available. We work with the cities will ensure that our services are available. Provide our outreach materials, health fairs, senior dinners, all outreach opportunities. We work in partnership with a lot of the fellow organizations in the room and then across the county as well. And our repairs are anything from safety modifications. So it could be simple things like coming in and making sure there are working smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors, to installation of grab bars, to making sure there are no tripping hazards, installation of ramps and lifts. So we have a safe at home program, and then it's also things that are catastrophic to somebody in standing homes, full roof replacement, hot water feed replacement, name it. So you're a general contractor. And then we also work with subcontractors, and we have staff that provide repair work as well. So we're layered in that.
God.
I think I answered.
I think, yeah, you said you're a general contractor, that
So
that answers a lot of
permits for
questions.
each of the cities and the
Yeah.
county, absolutely, for permanent required.
That's, I want to make sure that qualified people are doing the repair work.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, licensed, bonded.
Yeah, got it.
Us as well as our subs.
Got it. Okay.
Actually, if I could, so we do a lot on the Cupertino Rotary, twice a year, we have about 60 people come out and volunteer and there's general contractor.
Okay.
People place this in the next one.
I was thinking, great. Thanks, yeah.
Building day, and thank you for joining us on our project.
Thank you. Are you finished with us? Any questions you have for anybody?
I think,
Okay, thank you very much, Commissioner. Any Commissioner, any other comments from any other? Did I already ask?
Answers?
Okay, sure. What, about something? Okay.
There are 12 school districts, including Cupertino Union School District. Is the answer I got from the school districts.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
And then, on our funding requests, Nikki, we request that recommendation, if you move it, be all from BMR fund. Not from, yes.
Was Commission hear that?
I'm sorry.
We would request that any funding that you recommend for Eden, and I hope that we're still in your graces, would be all from the BMR fund.
All for all.
LHA and the CDBG.
I mean, they're not interested in CDBG or PLHA.
It just makes it cleaner for now.
Okay, that's the PLHA and the.
CDBG. So there,
Oh, okay, no, just the BMRH. Okay, that's fine. That's easier to understand. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And the funding that you are asking for then for, excuse me, charities housing, does that is that from all three or just?
Yes, so all of the PLHA, all of the CDBG, and the BMR would be 1,916,800. That would get us to 3 million.
Okay.
Eden would,
Okay, because I was noting that charities housing also was listed under another fund and so it gets a little bit confusing to know exactly what we're going to be approving. So it's good to know.
whatever you're recommending.
Well,
But if
no,
you-
I understand that. But understanding how the funding works, just like we were asking how much would be needed. If there's something to do with how the money comes, I understand that. I don't know specifically, but I know that there are other hoops and loops that have to be gone through for different funding. So that was important. And as long as you have that down, you know how that works,
yeah,
then great.
whatever we award, we would be working with them for any of the technical aspects, like how to get it from, the feds or from the state. But of course, whatever that distribution is, that's up to you guys. So
Okay,
I
I have a
we-
question then,
yes,
which is that,
One more question.
okay.
oh, hi, yeah,
Can I ask a question?
I think you can.
Since you're earmarking from funds from Cupertino to Eden Force.
It's not for the teacher housing. It's only for the second affordable housing. The
That's the-
teacher funding
Oh,
is
okay.
funded by Santa Clara County.
You made a breakdown.
Oh,
Earmarked there for Cupertino residents.
oh, okay. Okay. And then this was that. Oh, yeah, that's the one that I was,
For Cupertino residents.
okay. Oh, so that works for you to have those types of funding.
Yeah, this was his breakdown.
Yeah, okay. So
Try to understand.
I did have a question because under the BMR AHF funds, there is also the fair housing. Fair housing
Yes,
being provided funds under that.
yes, yeah.
So there is still funding available for that after this number.
So the 3 million number I gave
Mhm.
is accounting for fair housing, is accounting.
Is accounting.
Is accounting
already.
for admin,
Okay.
admin and all that. That's right.
Oh, good.
That's right. That's why I said there's technically 4.8 million in the bank, but
Okay. That's okay.
Yeah,
I understood.
okay.
Don't throw too many more numbers at
Okay,
that. That's
okay.
fine. I understood it. I just wanted to
Yeah.
make sure that in all the rest of this discussion that hadn't somehow been lost. And so I had all my questions. I should have put them all on one page, but that's okay. I did want to ask on repair,
Okay, so
on the
the
rebuilding
only
together, slip
from the staff,
Hey, guys, sorry.
sorry, I was trying to understand the,
okay, I mean, I want you to understand it. I just don't want to be talking at the same time. So if you want to finish that, that's fine. And then I will ask my question.
so the only change here is this will go to charity. That's a only change. Was we one and two?
Are you,
Nothing. I'll ask you. Okay, so it's useful for the rest of the commission to have that answer to your question. So if you could just give us an idea of what that question was and what the answer was, that would.
Right, so I was trying to understand what they were talking about to figure out like their agreement because that's gonna also
Sure.
affect how I will be voting. So it seems like the change would be that they keep the PLHA funding,
Mhm.
which is about 900,
Mhm.
and then
Yeah.
for the CDBG,
Yeah.
you guys would get the entirety of it, right?
So,
Okay, so that would be 3 million. And then for the BMR, it would essentially be flipped. So Eden would get a little bit above 1 million and then the rest would go to charity. So this configuration would help charity to get the 3 million that you guys
basically.
okay.
Okay.
Okay, got it.
Okay, thank you very much. And I was wanting to separately ask, there's another offer here. The Rebuilding Together Silicon Valley. One of the things I noted that we did 9 projects this year, or that's how many are on your ticket, and that you've done 7 and you have 2 more to do.
Exactly.
Okay, so for next year, your budget was for 7 projects, and yet it went up significantly. So I wasn't sure how, if you could explain why your thoughts about how many you're gonna do is going down and yet the cost is going up.
Yeah, that's a great question. So overall, our labor costs, our material costs, staffing, have all significantly increased over the years, and our allocation additional costs. So we have been asking for as much as we possibly could to increase, and unfortunately, our project costs are rising. So simultaneously, the clients that we're supporting, the housing stock is aging and it's becoming greater. So we're seeing many more requests for things like full roof placements, which are upwards of $25,000 per home, right? So we're having to make decisions around larger investments in a home versus a $5,000 investment of safety modifications. So those are some of the calculations that are happening internally with our organization that have realized in order to cost to do the same type of repair work that we do.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so has everyone asked their questions? So then I think, and everybody, attendance has, been able to speak to their. Yes.
Just say something.
Oh, I didn't know. I thought you were with one of these others because, well, anyway, yes, the general public should definitely speak.
I just want to thank, I have 2 sons with developmental disabilities. And I would love to have your daughter as a neighbor. I live very close by, and I think the Mary Avenue project is fantastic. I hope it gets going and gets finished quickly. Both of my sons, their total income is $1,700 a month.
Yeah.
So when you talk about low income and affordable housing, those are the figures you need to keep in mind. But I do, because I used to be on the board of Bay Area Housing Corporation and on the San Andreas Regional Center Board. So I've heard of all of you, and I just can't thank you enough for all the work that you do to support the disabled community. It's fantastic, and it's wonderful to see my hometown doing more. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I had a comment to
Oh, my goodness.
quick.
Okay, real quick,
I
we really do
I
want to bring it
appreciate-
back to be able to actually authorize.
I appreciate everything you just said, but I really wanted to take the opportunity to thank Eden Housing. Because Eden Housing has been a partner with Housing Choices for many years on many projects for people with IDD. And so I'm just so pleased with your negotiations down there, the other end of the table. And thank you for coming. We truly appreciate all that you do for our community.
Thank you very much. It's about building homes now. And they're ready. They're ready for that final application. So they'll get it. Just gonna go on the record saying.
Sounds like the housing received many people.
Right, and I would like to bring the conversation back, if we might, to actually vote on recommendations for the housing. Given the little bit of complication of funding, I guess I do need to have you just run, if do you have a chart?
I do.
mean, like a
So
a chart that tells us what was requested and what's being,
absolutely. So each of these kind of breakdowns is by each of the slides I introduced before. The categories, that represents a subtotal, right? Everything within each kind of block is up to the commission to kind of move around, right? That's your recommendation. So I think what'll be kind of good is I'll kind of start with each kind of like headline there. And the commission can either say they want to go with staff recommendation, or if they want to, discuss it, open up and change it up to something else.
Okay.
And then once if we do that, then I'll report it here.
Let me just say
Yeah.
that just that string of numbers is not useful to me. And what's more useful is what you have written in here where there's what they asked for and what you think. So I guess maybe might take just a few minutes and if you don't have those charts, again, someplace, I want to just go through these a little bit more so that I understand why, for instance, let's see, CDBG Public Services. First you have what they had before, like say Live Oak Adult
I can
Day
share this.
Services,
I can share the same.
$9,414, and then they asked for 22, and we gave them 18, or you're recommending. Then West Valley. You have their old, what they got last time, and then this time the funding request is 87,000. And where the funding award being recommended is 40,000.
So I can share
Okay,
that.
that's fine. So my question, this is hard for me to see. Well, I guess one of my questions, and I didn't ask it of West Valley, but I was thinking it was probably because funding was short last year for CDBG,
Yeah.
right? And
The bottom number for CDBG doesn't change, right? So they tell us what is coming
right,
and then we get what is there
yes,
in that pot.
that's true. And last time
It was very less because of the city being
Because of
dinged
the-
and the way HUD allocated it.
Okay, so that's why funding allocations in 24-25 were so low. Didn't have to do with you didn't want it or need it. It was.
Oh, no.
So the comparison isn't really between 17,000 and 87,000
Yeah.
at all. Okay, so I'm just wondering, and Live Oak Adult Day Services, then you had, it's the same thing? That it,
Exactly the same. It's about a 50% reduction from what we were expecting.
okay, so, great, I can understand that, and that's good. Oh, good, good.
Okay.
Then you had a different one, which is. Okay, we've talked about the capital housing project, so I think I understand it now. Project Sentinel, I understand that now. Children's housing, okay. So the Public Services for General Fund, HSG. You have. That wasn't related to any cut in fund. So you have 10,000. Never mind. The funding award for Catholic Charities for Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program is 1,000 less than they asked. The other one is 1,500 less than they asked. And then West Valley is getting oh, this was one of my questions, like, is there a reason why, I mean, it seems just on a ratio basis that $1,000 would mean a lot. And this 1,500 would mean a lot. Not meaning it doesn't mean a lot to West Valley, but hard for me to, what was the rationale, I guess? Maybe that's where I'm coming to, Nikki. What was the rationale for how you took out 1,000 and, is that a formulaic thing?
Yes.
Aha,
So each funding recommendation by staff, right, we tried to exceed what was their previous allocation,
see,
in
I
some
see.
way. But also knowing that like we're working with a total amount of 129,000. And so we wouldn't be able to completely fund
any of that.
any of them. So everyone got an increase overall to their services because they all met their targets last year. And so we want to
Okay.
continue supporting all of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and I understand that then as well. So your new thing, the PLAHA, now I understand it after the full discussions, because that was unclear how that was working. Okay, I guess I am now ready. Do you have any other questions just about the money situation? You're all good? Okay. Thank you for answering those questions, Nikki.
Yeah, no problem.
Appreciate it. Okay.
So I think it'd be helpful now to take it to commission recommendations. Kind of what I was trying to get at earlier is if you are if you want to move forward with staff recommendation, per kind of category, then I mean, we don't need to discuss that further and we can move to the next one. But if we want to open each one up, you know, for the
Well,
commission
then-
to make a different recommendation, that's, want to do that. So shall we start with the first headline?
Yeah.
For
Please.
CDBG Public Service.
Mhm.
Do we have a motion to just go with staff?
For CDGB Public Service.
Just for CDBG Public Service? Well, actually, we don't have to do a
Okay, do we
motion,
have-
just like, what do you guys think, basically? We're opening it up to discussion.
Yeah, is it, does that work for you,
Yeah, motion.
four of you?
Yeah.
I mean,
Public
and then,
services.
Ryan?
Ryan,
Yep,
Does
that
that-
works, that works for me.
it works, okay, so it works for
Okay.
us, okay.
For CDB Public Services, then we're gonna move with staff recommendation. For
Okay.
below market rate, affordable
Below
housing
housing
public
fund.
service.
Okay, so yes, I concur.
This is for the project sentinel.
Project Sentinel.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Ryan?
Agree.
Okay. For a general fund human services grant, Catholic Charities, adult legal services, adult community services.
I agree.
I just really. Say that again, human service. grants.
Human
We
services
are.
grant.
Oh, okay, now I see where you are, okay. Is everyone comfortable with this? Ryan, you're,
Yep.
As well?
I agree, thank you.
okay,
Okay.
so we agree with that.
And then next is the county funding of 50,000 for my tree.
I'm comfortable with that.
That's a lot.
Much did they ask?
That was the one that was outside.
Oh,
That
They
was
asked
the
for
one that was
25,000 a
outside
year.
of the- So they didn't actually ask. Did they? I mean, how did that work?
That went outside of the NOFA, right? So they kind of separately applied. And because the county funding can only be used for unhoused services,
Right,
like this is really like kind of like the only one that could fit to this funding.
okay.
So their ask was kind of tailored to this.
And this one also is for 2 years where everybody else is 1 year.
Correct. This is a 2-year grant.
This is a 2-year funding.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the next one is,
Capital housing for CDBG. There's two, those are building together in shared housing.
okay, and it was 74, and that goes to charity housing.
The pennies, it drives me.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
No, you got it. You got it.
Oh.
Hey, yeah.
But the check, I want that 37.
You got it.
Touch the nuts.
Okay, any questions? I'm okay with this,
Yeah.
okay,
All right.
and Ryan?
All good, thank you.
Okay. All right, next up is PLHA. This could be used for development and development of affordable housing.
May I say
This is the
something
one
here?
where we changed
Yes.
it, right?
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
From what I heard earlier, from the Eden, remind me your name, please.
Dixie?
Dixie, from Dixie, what Dixie said earlier, she'd like whatever she gets the most to come out from the BMR. So I'm suggesting that give the 300 there to charities housing, make that zero and compensate
Yes,
via BMR. All they get is from the BMR, correct, Dixie?
Yeah, only from the BMR.
yeah, so this is this. Yeah, so are you going to make that correction on your chart?
Sure. First, let's hear from the commission. Like, how do we feel? Everyone?
Yes, what she said.
Hi.
Got it. Got it.
So
Commissioner John G said.
Jindy.
Yeah, Jindy, Jindy.
Okay,
Okay.
No, not Jindy.
and the pennies. Give them the pennies.
And the pennies.
Yeah, the pennies are up there.
Understood.
So I think we are all in agreement with that as well,
Okay.
as we, yes, now, and you as well, Ryan?
Yep, we're good, thank you.
Pictures.
Sure. I can-
No, that's
Yeah?
fine, I'm sure.
I
it's
can make it a
fine.
little bigger.
No,
Yeah.
I can, it's fine, I know he's there.
The last, for the below market rate affordable housing fund.
So
I would recommend, yeah, whatever they figure out the number.
Well,
I think we need
but I
to
think-
do some.
But you know what it is, right? So you can put up the
I,
number?
I would need to hear a recommendation specifically from a commissioner.
Oh, a
Yeah.
recommendation from a commissioner. Yes, very good.
Nikki,
Yes.
can you help us out? Until this point, how much money is being awarded to the charities housing?
So currently, right, they're getting about 1,500,000 from CDBG and then 900 from PLHA. So right now they're just about 1 million right now.
So they're 1 million.
Yeah.
They have another 1 million from the below market, so.
That's only staff recommendation. So this could be however.
So in my simple math without calculator, it seems like this very last category needs to change.
Yeah, it-
Slot. It seems like.
I have that. Can you share?
Yeah.
With us,
So-
you,
Yes, so
Commissioner.
charity housing would have 1,916,800.
1,916,800.
Yeah.
Can we just up the two numbers?
And that is then we add the 174.
Yeah, so that would be
Okay.
exactly,
And that's then exactly what, 3 million?
yeah,
So we should put a 3 million there then, is what we're saying? No, you're right. It's 1,916,800. Thank you.
and then the rest would,
The balance goes to Eden House.
So only
is that, I think it's really.
place,
Because 3 million is in there, 3 million.
Yeah.
it's about 1 million. 1 million.
I just need to make sure the zero is
I don't
right.
know why I do it in hand.
There you go.
Perfectly.
So it's a 1,088
From 2 million.
be
It's already
200.
there, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So those two numbers together add up to,
That's the.
So
okay?
they adapt the 3 million.
Yeah.
And then feel comfortable?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Ryan, you feel comfortable?
Yep, we're good. Thank you.
Then
Okay.
we recommend that. Okay, so this is where we need to make a motion.
Correct.
Okay,
All right.
I ask.
Hang on, everybody, hang on. We gotta do the most important part now.
I ask for a motion to
So-
recommend, make.
So moved.
Okay, so moved. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second, it's been seconded.
Okay.
Okay, so the recommended action was to consider all of these fundings and make recommendations to council for final approval and have voted?
So hold on.
Was
So,
that, oh, that was the motion.
the official motion, right?
Yeah,
I'm gonna
that's the official motion.
say I motion to approve funding recommendations as recommended by the commission
Yeah.
for CDBG, PLHA, county funding, BMRHF and HSG funds. And who officially made that motion?
I so moved.
So moved by
Ryan moved it.
Commissioner Golzak,
And-
seconded
and
by-
Commissioner He seconded it.
seconded by Commissioner. Thank
All
you.
right, and then the rest of us need to vote.
So I will
Okay.
now do roll call as I call your
Okay.
name. Please say aye, nay, abstain.
Okay,
Ready? Chair Cunningham,
aye.
Vice Chair Goals,
Aye.
Commissioner He,
Aye.
Commissioner Ryan,
Hi.
and Commissioner Cindy.
Aye.
The motion passes.
Yeah, okay. And I want to thank everyone who spent their evening with us today. I know it's very difficult to put together the proposals, and it's a lot of work that you all do all the time for the sake of people who are less fortunate. And it does my heart. That, so thank you all.
Yeah.